Get to work, your goals are waiting. There is a rhythm beneath the noise, a quiet pulse humming through the fabric of existence. You were not dropped into this world by chance, but woven carefully like a single thread in a vast and living tapestry. The moments you call silence are not empty. They are pauses in a cosmic symphony where even stillness plays its part. The obstacles you face are not blocks in your path, but invitations, soft whispers from the universe, coaxing you to dance more fully with your purpose. Each struggle, each hesitation is a note, a breath, a gesture in the grand unfolding of something immeasurably divine. You are not lost, you are becoming. And the world in all its mystery is listening, waiting for you to move, to speak, to rise in harmony with the music only you were meant to bring. Because somewhere in the heart of forever, your goals are already written into the stars. You are not here by accident. I want you to really sit with that for a moment. Not just hear it, but feel it. There's something profound about realizing that you, right now, in this moment, with all your thoughts, struggles, talents, and even your confusion, you're part of something much bigger than just paying bills and trying to get by. Most people live their entire lives believing they're just cogs in a machine, just doing what they were told. Go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, retire. And then, what? Hope you made it. Hope you didn't run out of time. That's not a life. That's a script. And the tragedy is that so many people play the role without ever questioning the story. But you're here because something in you knows that there's more. And I'm telling you, that voice inside you, it's not delusion, it's direction. Your goals, they didn't come out of thin air. They weren't just random thoughts that floated by during a good cup of coffee or a motivational video. They came from somewhere deeper. Goals are not accidents. They are signals, internal compasses pointing you toward the person you were meant to become. Now I get it. The world tries to convince you otherwise. It tells you to be realistic, to stay in line. It rewards you for staying small and punishes you for asking a why not more. But think about this. If you were really meant to play it safe, to follow the crowd, why would you feel that hunger? Why would you feel so restless when you're not creating, building, growing? That tension you feel when you're stuck? That's the evidence. That's proof that your spirit wasn't made for mediocrity. Most people think they need permission to go after what they want. They wait for the perfect time, the perfect circumstances, the perfect plan. But what they don't realize is, you were born with permission. Life itself stamped that permission on your soul the moment you were given breath. You don't need a degree or validation or applause. You need awareness. You need to remember that you are not here by mistake. Look at the world around you. Nature doesn't create anything without purpose. Not a tree. Not a river. Not a storm. Not even a weed. Everything plays a role in the ecosystem. You think you're the only one born without meaning? Without a mission? No. You're part of the system too. A much bigger, more intricate one. Your job is to listen for that inner call, to stop silencing it, to stop trading it for comfort and conformity. You were given desires not to tease you, but to lead you. If you feel drawn to create something, build something, change your life, it's because that thing is possible for you. And it's waiting. Your goals are waiting on you, and not the other way around. See, here's the part no one tells you. Your goals are already yours. They just live in a different timeline. They exist on the other side of your action, your consistency, your courage. The universe isn't withholding anything from you. It's just waiting for you to get into alignment. You move first. You show that you're serious. You show that you're ready. That's when the shift happens. That's when you start to feel the wind behind your back instead of against your face. But none of that starts until you realize you are not some extra in the story. You are the story. You're not a mistake. You're not too late. You're not underqualified. You're just unawakened. And the second you wake up to the fact that your dreams are divine instructions, not wishful thinking, that's when everything starts to change. People ask me all the time, how do I know if I'm on the right path? And I say, are you growing? Are you uncomfortable? Are you being stretched in ways that scare you but excite you? Then you're on the right path. Comfort isn't the goal. Alignment is, and purpose rarely shows up wrapped in comfort. You have to stop waiting to feel ready and start trusting that you were built for this. The same way a seed knows how to become a tree, you already know how to become what you're meant to be. It's built into you. You don't have to earn it. You just have to unlock it. And you do that by starting, by working, and by showing up even when it doesn't make sense. Because clarity comes after commitment, not before it. So don't sit around asking if you're enough. You are. Don't wait for someone to crown you worthy. You already are. Life doesn't hand over rewards to those who wait for the right time. It rewards the ones who realize they are the right person. The question was never, are you capable? The real question is, will you answer the call? Most people think if nothing is happening, they're falling behind. If there's no big win, no visible progress, then something must be wrong. But I want you to hear this clearly. Stillness is not stagnation. Just because you don't see results today doesn't mean nothing is happening. Some of the most important shifts in your life are taking place underground in silence, where no one's clapping and no one's watching. Think about nature. A seed doesn't sprout the second you bury it. It doesn't break the soil overnight. It sits in the dark, unseen, unfelt. But what's happening during that stillness? Roots are growing, foundations are being laid. It's preparing to break through. And when it finally does, the growth looks sudden, but it wasn't. It was just the first part anyone noticed. Life works the same way. There are seasons when everything feels slow, like you're stuck in molasses. You're putting in the effort, but nothing's moving. No one's calling. The business isn't taking off. The channel isn't growing. And you start to question yourself. Am I doing something wrong? Should I quit? But let me tell you something I've learned the hard way. The silence is part of the strategy. The delay is part of the design. Those quiet stretches are not dead zones. They're testing zones. They're where you're being asked, can you stay committed without the applause? And you keep building when no one is watching? That's where the real winners are forged. Most people bail in the stillness. They mistake silence for failure. But those who understand how wealth, success, and legacy are built, they know how to wait actively. They keep showing up, keep refining their craft, keep planting seeds even when the soil looks barren. This is where mindset becomes everything. Because if your mindset is rooted in results, you'll burn out fast. But if your mindset is rooted in purpose, you'll keep going. Why? Because you're not here for instant validation. You're here for impact. You're here for freedom. You're here to build something that lasts. There's a story I tell sometimes, a lesson I learned from watching markets. When people panic during a dip, they sell. They want to feel in control, but the smart investors, they stay calm. They see the dip as part of the cycle, the silence before the rise, and they hold the line. That's how wealth is made, not through noise, but through discipline in the quiet. So, what do you do in the stillness? You prepare. You study. You refine. You get sharper. You look at your systems. You learn new skills. You take a breath, but you don't stop, because the moment will come. And when it does, if you've been preparing, you'll be ready. If not, you'll miss it. And don't just think about external goals. Business, money, success. Think about who you're becoming. You're not just building wealth, you're building character. You're learning patience, resilience, strategy. Those things are worth more than any check, because once you've got them, you can build anything. We live in a world obsessed with speed, faster results, quicker wins. But when it comes to real success, the kind that sustains, you have to fall in love the long game. Because that's where the deep work happens, and that's where you separate the talkers from the doers. Let's be real. It's easy to be excited when things are going well, but can you stay committed when they're not? That's the real test. That's when most people retreat. But if you're listening to this, it means you're not most people. You're here because something in you knows that silence isn't punishment, it's preparation. And maybe right now things feel quiet. Maybe no one's seeing your effort. Maybe your work hasn't broken through yet. Good. That means you're in the right place. It means you're in the part of the story where the hero is still being shaped. The silence doesn't mean it's over. It means it's beginning. Success isn't always loud. Growth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it looks like routines. Sometimes it feels like nothing, but later, when the breakthrough comes, people will call it overnight success. And you'll smile because you'll know it was anything but. So if you're in a season of stillness, don't panic, don't run, don't quit, use it. This is the moment that will define the next chapter of your life, not because of what's happening around you, but because of what's happening within you. Silence isn't the absence of progress. It's the sound of something greater taking root. Let's talk about work. Not the kind most people complain about on Monday mornings, but the kind that actually matters. The kind that wakes something up inside you, the kind that brings your vision to life. We've been trained to see work as a burden, as a thing we have to do, to survive, and to survive. Punch the clock, do the job, collect the check. That's how most people treat work, like a transaction. But I want you to see work for what it really is. Sacred motion. It's how you bring the unseen into the scene. It's how your thoughts, your ideas, your goals stop being fantasies and start becoming tangible. People love to dream. They love to imagine the future. Passive income, financial freedom, those are beautiful things to want. But dreaming without working is just wishing. A goal without action is just a distraction. You can visualize all you want. You can put affirmations on your mirror. But until you get your hands dirty, none of it will come to life. Here's the truth that no one likes to hear. Work is the bridge between who you are and who you want to be. It's not punishment. It's the process. And once you start to see it that way, everything changes. I've seen it over and over again. People wait for motivation to get to work. They think they need to feel inspired before they take action. But it's the other way around. You start working, and that's what generates momentum. You put in the reps, and suddenly ideas start flowing. You show up, and clarity shows up with you. You don't wait to feel ready. You work your way into readiness. And I'm not just talking about hustling for the sake of hustle. I'm talking about intentional work, focused work, work that aligns with your goals, work that feels like you're building something, not just staying busy. There's a difference between motion and progress. A lot of people are moving fast, but they're going in circles. If your work isn't connected to a bigger purpose, you'll burn out. But if it is, if it's tied to your why, then every hour you invest becomes fuel. Think about anyone who's built something lasting. They didn't get there by doing what was easy. They got there by committing to the work no one saw. They kept building when it was boring, when it was thankless, when it was hard, and that's what set them apart. The world celebrates outcomes, but what it doesn't see is the daily effort, the repetition, the discipline, the setbacks, the doubt. That's the real work. And that's where character is built. You want to become a person who's capable of handling big success? Then start honoring the work now, even when it feels small. There's a myth out there that once you make it, the hard work stops. But the truth is, real success demands a new level of effort, focus, and growth. That's why your relationship with work has to change. You've got to stop running from it and start respecting it. Start treating it like a gift. Because work is where you find out who you really are. It's where your potential is tested and refined. And don't make the mistake of thinking the only valuable work is the glamorous stuff. It's easy to respect the spotlight, but what about the grind behind the scenes? What about the 5 a.m. wake-ups, the long nights, the hours spent learning when no one's paying attention? That's the real work. That's where greatness is forged. Let me tell you something that changed my life. When I realized that every bit of effort I put in was either building an asset or building someone else's, I decided I wanted my energy, my time, my labor to create freedom, not just income. And that shift in mindset is what led me to build things that would continue to work for me long after I stopped working for them. But even then, it started with work. Hard, focused, often unglamorous work. And I learned to love it. Not because it was always easy, but because it was always honest. You can lie to yourself with talk, but your work doesn't lie. Your results don't lie. They reflect exactly what you've put in and what you've avoided. So if you've got a vision, if you've got goals, The next move isn't to wait for a sign. The sign is your desire. The next move is to get to work. Build the thing, learn the skill, make the call, launch the channel, write the post. Don't overthink it. Move, you'll figure it out on the way. That's how every great thing begins. Not with perfect planning, but with imperfect action. And, yeah, it might be slow at first. It might feel like no one sees you, but the work sees you, the future sees you. And every step you take is casting a vote for the kind of life you want to live. Work isn't the price you pay for success. It's the path that proves you're ready for it. Discipline. It's not the most glamorous word. You don't see it trending on social media. It's not flashy, and it doesn't give you that instant dopamine hit. But if you really want to know the difference between people who wish for success and people who build it, this is it. Discipline is the foundation. It's the quiet force behind every breakthrough, every result, every goal that actually gets achieved. And here's the thing. Most people misunderstand discipline. They think it's about restriction, about suffering, about forcing yourself to do things you hate. But real discipline? It's not punishment. It's not punishment. Oh, it's devotion in disguise. It's a form of love. Love for your future. Love for your freedom. Love for the version of you that you're becoming. When you're disciplined, you don't wake up and ask, do I feel like doing this today? You wake up and say, I have a mission. This is who I am. And this is what I do. It's not about feeling. It's about identity. Discipline anchors you when motivation fades. And trust me, motivation will fade. There are going to be mornings when you don't feel like showing up. Evenings when you'd rather coast. Days when nothing seems to be moving. But those are the moments where discipline steps in and says, we're not stopping here. But the truth is, anything worth building requires consistency. Whether it's your finances, your business, your health, your relationships, results don't come from what you do once in a while. They come from what you do consistently, even when no one's watching, even when it's not exciting. And that's what discipline gives you. The power to keep showing up day after day, with integrity. We live in a world addicted to quick fixes. Everyone wants the shortcut, the hack, the one thing that will change everything. But let me tell you something. The most powerful strategy in the world is showing up over and over again for as long as it takes. That's what separates the average from the unstoppable. Discipline. It's funny. People will admire someone who's successful and say, they're so lucky. But they don't see the habits. They don't see the early mornings, the weekends sacrificed, the 100 times that person kept going when it would have been easier to quit. Luck might open a door, but discipline is what keeps you walking through it, even when the hallway feels endless. Now, I'm not saying discipline is easy. It's not. But it is simple. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to feel like a machine. You just have to make decisions that align with your purpose more often than not. You have to keep the promises you make to yourself. That's how self-respect is built. That's how confidence grows, not by hype, but by execution. When you do what you said you would do, even when it's hard, you become someone you can trust. And when you trust yourself, you become unstoppable. There's a certain freedom that comes with discipline. That might sound strange, but it's true. People think freedom means doing whatever you want, whenever you want, but that's not freedom. That's chaos. Real freedom comes from structure, from knowing that your systems are working for you, that your habits are creating a future you can be proud of. That's freedom, the kind that lasts. So when you sit down to do the work, when you make the choice to stick to your plan, when you say no to what's easy so you can say yes to what matters, you're not just being disciplined, you're being loyal to your future, loyal to your purpose, loyal to the version of you that's out there waiting, hoping you don't give up. And every day you choose that loyalty. Every day you follow through. You take one step closer to that life, that vision. That freedom you say you want. Discipline doesn't steal your joy, it multiplies it. Because nothing feels better than progress, than knowing you're living in alignment, than becoming someone who finishes what they start. So yeah, discipline might not be glamorous, but it's golden. It's the quiet engine that drives every dream into reality. Because the truth is, freedom isn't found in doing whatever you want, it's found in doing what needs to be done. Most people walk through life reacting. They respond to bills, to bosses, to deadlines, to whatever noise is loudest that day. It's a constant cycle. Wake up, respond, repeat. But the truth is, if you're not choosing your direction intentionally, someone else is choosing it for you. And usually that path doesn't lead anywhere you actually want to go. There's a moment in every person's journey when they have to wake up and ask, whose life am I really living? Am I building something that's mine? Or am I just moving through someone else's blueprint, trying to survive? That moment, that question, that's where everything begins to shift. Because the life you want, it doesn't show up by accident. It shows up because you design it. Designing your life means you don't just dream, you decide. You don't just want freedom. You start building systems that lead to it. You don't just talk about goals. You structure your days, your habits, your energy around those goals. That's what separates intention from reaction. That's what separates leadership from passivity. And this isn't about being rigid or robotic. It's about taking responsibility for where you're going. It's about realizing that every day is a blueprint. Every choice you make is a brick. Every action you take is a vote for the kind of life you're creating. And if you're not aware of that, you'll keep laying bricks for someone else's house. I've met so many people who say they want financial freedom, time freedom, a better life. But when you look at how they're spending their time, how they're managing their resources, how they're making decisions, it's not aligned. You can't say you want to build a castle and then keep hammering nails into a shack. It's not going to work. Design means alignment. It means your daily actions are in harmony with your long-term vision. It means you know where you're headed, and you structure your life in a way that supports that direction. This is where systems come into play. Systems aren't boring. They're liberating. A system saves you from wasting time, energy, and focus. It keeps you on track when life tries to pull you off course. If you want to build wealth, what's your system for managing money? If you want to grow your business, what's your system for learning, marketing, or scaling? If you want to become a better version of yourself, what's your system for growing emotionally, mentally, spiritually? Without structure, life becomes reactive. But when you design your days with clarity, when you know what matters most, you stop being busy and start being effective. You stop living by default and start living by design. Let's be real. This isn't always easy. The world isn't built to support your freedom. It's built to distract you. It's built to sell you comfort, to keep you compliant. But when you design your life, you start taking your power back. You stop outsourcing your destiny to other people's expectations. And you begin shaping your life into something that reflects you, your values, your vision, your purpose. That's what ownership really looks like. It's not just owning assets. It's owning your time, your focus, your energy. You don't wait for a better life to show up. You architect it. You build the frame. You pour the foundation. You revise the blueprints when needed. And brick by brick, the life you imagine becomes the life you live. So stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop hoping someone else will come along with the map. You have the tools. You have the materials. The only thing left is to commit. Decide what matters. Design your structure. Design your structure. And then start building. Because the life you want isn't waiting for permission. It's waiting for a plan. And when you take control of your design, you take control of your destiny. Let's talk about something most people avoid. Failure. We're taught to fear it, to dodge it, to treat it like a sign we should stop. And yet, when you look at anyone who's built something meaningful, whether it's a business, a body of work, or a better life, you'll find that failure wasn't their enemy. It was their education. The truth is, you can't separate growth from failure. You can't rise without falling. Failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of the path. Every step forward includes a stumble, a mistake, a moment where things didn't go as planned. But that's not where the story ends. That's where the real story begins. Most people live in fear of getting it wrong, so they hesitate. They stay stuck in the planning phase. They overthink. They wait until everything's perfect, and it never is. So nothing happens. But progress doesn't require perfection. It requires movement. And movement means risk. It means you're going to fall. You're going to miss the mark. That's part of it. And here's what's crazy. The people who move the fastest, who grow the most, aren't the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who out-learn everyone else. They fail, but they learn. They fall, but they don't lose the lesson. They see every mistake as feedback. Every setback is a message. Every loss is data. And that's what makes them dangerous. Because they're always evolving. Think of it like this. Life is constantly giving you clues. Every time something goes wrong, it's revealing what needs to be fixed. Every misstep is a mirror. It shows you where to improve, where to pivot, where to sharpen your focus. But if you treat failure like a full stop instead of a comma, you'll miss that feedback. You'll stay stuck. You'll repeat the same mistakes. Or worse, you'll stop showing up at all. There's something powerful that happens when you stop fearing failure and start working with it. You stop attaching your identity to the outcome. You stop seeing losses as personal. You start looking at the process through the eyes of a builder, not a victim. Builders expect problems. They anticipate challenges. But they don't stop building just because something cracked. They reinforce it. They adapt. They keep going. That's the mindset you need to grow anything worth having. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back. It's about bouncing forward. It's about becoming stronger because of what didn't go your way. And that doesn't come from reading books or watching videos. It comes from being in the arena, taking hits, adjusting, and returning smarter. I've failed at things people never even saw. I've launched ideas that flopped. I've made investments that didn't return. But every one of those moments taught me something school never could. They sharpened my instincts. They taught me how to ask better questions. They forced me to grow in ways that success never would have. And that's the hidden gift of failure. It reveals your gaps. Not so you can give up, but so you can grow up, so you can become the person who's actually ready for the level of success you say you want. Because that level, it has a cost. It demands maturity, emotional control, strategy, grit. And you don't develop those traits on the mountaintop. You develop them in the valley. That's where character is formed. So instead of running from failure, get curious about it. Analyze it. Ask what it's teaching you. See it as your mentor. Because the people who win big aren't the ones who never fail. They're the ones who learn fast and fearless. They're relentless learners, and that's what gives them the edge. At the end of the day, you don't need to be perfect. You need to be in progress. You need to be in motion. You need to be the kind of person who says, I'll figure it out along the way. I'll fail if I have to. I'll fail to. But I won't stay down. Because failure doesn't define you, your response to it does. Fall forward, learn fast, and keep building. That's how you grow.